Hi, this is Bert with the Bread Brothers. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be making zucchini bread. Now if you're new to our channel, my buddy Ben and I will be sharing with you tons of tips and tricks and all our bread recipes and everything dough, so make sure you check out some of our other videos. So this morning I was out working in the garden and I picked zucchini. If you've ever planted a zucchini plant, you know that it goes from blossom to 1,000 zucchinis within 2 or 3 days. And if you miss a day, you have huge ones. And the perfect thing to do with maybe a little over large zucchinis is make zucchini bread. Just cut the seeds out before you grate it up. So let's get started with the recipe. I've got a cup of white sugar, a half a cup of packed brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup of oil, and 2 eggs. I'm going to mix these up really well. Okay, you can see that that's well mixed together. Make sure that if you have any chunks of brown sugar that you get those smushed and all that sugar is all mixed in. Now I'm going to move over to my dry ingredients. So I've got 2 cups of flour. You can use just straight AP flour. I've decided to substitute a half a cup of the all-purpose flour with a half a cup of whole wheat flour. My kids don't even know the difference. Add a little bit more fiber to this. So in goes a cup and a half of AP flour, a half a cup of the whole wheat flour, 3/4 teaspoon baking soda, and 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And then I have a half a teaspoon of salt. 2.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now I want to whisk these together just to make sure that all of those are distributed throughout. You don't want any chunks of baking soda or baking powder in any part of your bread. So that's all well mixed, and I'm going to incorporate that now into the wet. You don't want to use a whisk for this. It won't work very well. Just use a nice sturdy spoon and mix that all together. This is all mixed. You can see how thick it is, which is totally fine. That's totally going to change once we add our zucchini. So I have a cup and a half of grated zucchini. One of the zucchini I cut was a little bit big, so I removed the seeds so I wouldn't have any of that. And I packed that in tight. I want as much of this as possible. I'll see all that juice. You want all that liquid in there. Oops. Especially because we've got some of the whole wheat flour in there, and that tends to be a little thirsty. And so I'm going to just give this a stir and distribute that throughout. Don't worry about, you might have to be a little aggressive at first to get that in there. And just get that all nicely mixed together so they're all friends. You can see how this significantly changed textures by adding the zucchini. It's absorbed all of that moisture and now it's like a batter. But for us at our house, we have to add a little bit of chocolate and a little bit of nuts. Today I've got a half a cup of pecans. You could use almonds or something else. Half a cup of chopped pecans and 3/4 of a cup of chocolate chips. I've got semi-sweet. You could use milk, but they'll melt and get a little weird. So I've found that the semi-sweet work the best. And just fold those in so they're distributed really well throughout. You don't want to get a bite without chocolate chip. That would not be good. All right, I've got these pans. These are about 3.5 by 7. This batter will fit into 3 of these. These were my wife Heather's grandmother's. They're as old as dirt, but I love these pans. They say Bake King number H2, whatever that means. So if you have those kind of pans, that's the size. You could use a standard pan and it'd fit in 2 of these, but I've found that this is best for us. We can eat a couple and share one. So I've already sprayed these with a non-stick cooking spray, and I'm going to line them with a little piece of parchment paper. Love parchment paper. It just is so disappointing to go through all the work of making some bread and then have it stick to the bottom of the pan and you have a weird chunk or something. Still tastes the same, but doesn't look as pretty. So a little secret is just to throw a little parchment paper there on the bottom. It'll make it really easy to get that out. So I'm just going to divide this between these 3 containers. All right, I have these in each of my pans. You want to wipe off any little drips that are on the top of the pans because those will burn and it smells funny. So these are ready to go in the oven. I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees. These smaller pans will take about 40 to 45 minutes. I'll check on them at 40 minutes. If you were using the larger pan, you need to go at least 50-55 minutes on those. And just when they're starting to pull away from the sides of the pan, look a little bit brown, and you can put a toothpick in it all the way and it comes out clean. Because if you pull these out of the oven too soon, they will deflate a little bit. So it's better to leave them a minute long than a minute short. So I'm going to put these in the oven. All right, the bread baked for 45 minutes. I took it out of the oven and I let it cool on the cooling rack in the pan for 2 or 3 minutes. Then I ran a knife around the outside edge of the pan and the bread just to help ensure that it would slip out really nicely. You can see I've still got the parchment paper on the bottom, totally help it come out of the pans really nicely. I've already cut into this one to take a look. Let me show you what this looks like. I'm going to cut right into the middle of this and cut a slice out of the middle. It's still a little bit warm. It's how we love to eat it. You can see how gooey that is. It's got all the chocolate and nuts throughout. Give that a little taste. That's really good. It's really good. Holy moly. Can't even speak. Okay. There's how to make zucchini bread. It's really easy. It's super delicious. It uses up all that zucchini that you got lying around from your garden. If you don't have a garden, ask your neighbor because they have more zucchini than they can deal with as well. So thank you for watching today. Bake bread, be happy. Remember to like, share, and subscribe and hit the notifications button to be reminded of when we have new videos.